Do you have a Lowe fishing machine with one of these Minn Kota power drive trolling motors, but can't figure out how you want to install a fish finder on the front? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fishing with Gramps right here on YouTube. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how I solved the problem of adding a fish finder to this 2021 Lowe fishing machine without replacing the Minn Kota power drive trolling motor that comes with it to a system that would basically require adding a second battery. Nope, I went with a much simpler solution. It took a little bit of work, took a little bit of figuring, but we got it worked out. I went with a Humminbird Helix 5 down imaging fish finder to mount on this trolling motor, but it sure wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. This is a different style of trolling motor than I'm used to. Normally the ones that I've always had are the ones that you grab the handle, pick it up, and drop the whole unit into the water by tilting it forward. This is a different style. This one is actually, I think it's called iDrive capable, where I can add a unit into this trolling motor that would allow me to control it with a remote control. But again, I didn't want to spend a ton of money and upgrade trolling motors when what I had that comes with it is perfectly capable for what I needed to do. But we had to work around several issues, do some work, and come up with a good solution. So let's get into it and talk about what we did. So first thing right off the bat, if you went with a Humminbird Helix 5 fish finder, more than likely it came with the transom mount transducer. Do not open those packages, because what you need for installation up front is a transducer for a trolling motor. If you haven't opened the bags that transom mounted transducer comes in, you can call Humminbird and they will switch the transducers for you for free. If you made the mistake like I did, trying to take it out, realize it wouldn't fit on your front trolling motor, and then order a little third-party bracket to put up front, doesn't work. The problem is the transducer that comes for the transom mount, it's not shielded, so it can actually get interference from the trolling motor running. Up front, these newfangled transducers with their down and imaging and whatnot, they need to be shielded from other electronics to work properly. You need a trolling motor specific transducer for this installation. I ended up opening up the wrong package, had to go online and order a different transducer to make this work properly. So you can see here I've already got it mounted, and I actually mounted it and banded it again just to keep it in place. But that's the shielded transducer that you need for this install. Next up, you need a way to manage your cables that run from the bottom of the trolling motor all the way up to the top so they don't get pinched or wrapped around the trolling motor shaft. That problem is solved by a company called Precision Sonar. They make what they call a cable guard system. So you can see the transducer cable I have feeding out of this tube of coiled tubing that goes all the way down, and then another metal bracket holds it in place. So what the kit consists of is two metal brackets that hold this coil out, away, and separate from the trolling motor shaft so that it doesn't get tangled up. Now, you'll find other DIY solutions out there using like an air hose that somebody sliced open. Yep, that works, but not nearly as well as something that was actually built to solve this problem. Notice how far out it holds it from the trolling motor shaft, and it doesn't get tangled up when it's deployed. I'll put a link to Precision Sonar's website in the description below. That is the solution to our second problem. Obviously the first was not having the right transducer in the box when shipped, because we didn't know. Alright, so now that we have our transducer mounted to the bottom of the trolling motor, our cable management in place, let's move on to the next issue. Power. Now, a lot of people would just tap that cable into the power bank that runs the trolling motor, but I want my trolling motor to have as much juice as it can. There's only one battery for this trolling motor, so that's it as far as power running from here. Now, I could snake this line back and run it into the power box under the console, but I decided I wanted to have its own power, own battery for this fish finder for itself, because I can turn it on and off only when I'm up front and need it. I can power it down when we're moving around. So let's move back a little bit. So here's my solution. What I did was I used this fish tape and ran the line all the way up through this tubing right here and snaked it around to the front where it come out up there by the power for the trolling motor. Basically, I just ran that fish tape along the same route that these cables take all the way up to the front. Then I pulled the power cable back so that it came out here with these two wires. Now these two wires I actually spliced up towards the front because I wanted as much juice as I could get running from the back going up there to that power cable. I put the links to this 10 gauge wire in the description below, but then I run it back to this green Plano toolbox so I can keep it somewhat waterproofish. And I drilled a hole and I ran it in here to this MarCum lithium battery that comes with a charging kit so that I can actually plug it in. When I plug in the trolling motor to charge, I plug in both different chargers and it charges like, and I can charge both batteries separately. And you'll notice in the box I took a pool noodle up here to hold it in place and then another one there, stuffed it down to the side. So here you can see the two wires coming in. I put an inline fuse in and then I joined the cables together with these heat shrink wrap tubing to make our connections so that I have these two running up to the front of the boat and then these running over here to the side to this little, you know, power dongle that I can use to charge it. And then I just make that connection and plug it in the wall. Everything I'm showing today, I will link down in the description. I buy everything off of Amazon, so. But this is a 12 volt lithium battery, should be able to run the fish finder as long as I can stay out on the water, you know, using the big battery on the trolling motor. So that's my power solution. Let's move on up front. As you can see here, here's my two 10 gauge wires, also connected, running into the power cable that goes to the fish finder. I could have made this shorter, but I decided just to leave myself some extra room because, hey, why not? Doing that gives me the flexibility in case I want to remove the fish finder and put it over here on this base and slide that down the boat off to the side over here somewhere. Then if I want to run a GoPro up front, I can stick the GoPro right there and stick my fish finder over here. If not, I can just drop the GoPro on that quick mount right there. These things are handy, flexible, they pop right in and out. You can put them anywhere you want them. So step one in the lock and load system is installing this mighty mount. Again, this is from YakAttack, link in the description below. You can put bolts in, you can put screws in. This thing will not move. It's meant for holding a heavy load, keep everything locked in. From there, I can just slide in this YakAttack base. So again, notice it's the same base as this one over here. So later on I'll go back and get some vice grips and tighten this down just a little bit more, really lock it in place because I don't want this moving when we're out fishing. And then from there I took our Humminbird Helix 5 and mounted it to this YakAttack fish finder mount that comes on this little arm, comes on pivot points. You see the 4 screws here that hold it in place. This particular mount is for this Helix 5. And then with these arms, you'll be able to adjust the angle or the height as you want it. But just as the one with the back, it gives me the ability to put it there in the front one or over here to the one on the side, lock it down, and it doesn't move. Just like that. The other funny thing is you can get cup holders and things like that that also work with these adapters. There's all kinds of different mounts that work with this YakAttack locking system. It's really nice. And so from here, I can take my power that comes from the front, that goes back to my battery box, plug it in, my transducer cable, plug it in, and take my fish finder, pop up it in a spot, hit the power button, and there we go. Independent power for the fish finder, running from the cable in the back. Just that simple. Now, what's nice about this, if I'm pulled off at a ramp, a restaurant, or whatever, I can power this back off, take it off its mount, unplug it, and then I can take it and put it in my truck. So no meth head looking for his next score will walk up and take off with my fish finder. And that's the reason why I went this way for both my front and the back. There you have it. Not a cheap solution. I probably have as much in the other stuff as I do the actual fish finder itself. But I wanted a solution that would work as long as my trolling battery would run. So lithium battery, Plano tackle box, a drill, inline fuses, connectors and end connectors, a heat gun, crimpers, fish tape and electric tape for running the power cable from the back to the front, then the YakAttack arm itself and the mighty mount along with the Helix 5 fish finder. But again, I didn't buy a bass boat with all this stuff pre-rigged. Biggest thing is I did not want to have to upgrade to a bass boat type trolling motor that would require me adding an additional battery and dealing with all of those headaches. Those trolling motors themselves start out at around $1,400, and I ain't trying to get into all that. This is a simple fishing machine, and I was looking for a simple solution to a somewhat complicated problem. But I'm lucky that enough people have been out there to run into this problem that other companies have taken the initiative to help solve the problem. Thank you so much, Precision Sonar, for making that cable guard kit. That was my biggest worry. Trying to solve that problem with a simple air hose, not really my style. Again, I'm not spending the most money on fishing boats and equipment. I'm always the middle of road kind of guy. That's why I am with my motorcycle, my truck, and obviously my fishing machine.
But not your wife!
You're not middle of the road. You're high class.
I know, I was pointing that out.
Yeah. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below and I'll do my best to answer as much as I can. We're going to take it out on the water, put it through its paces, and we'll see how well it works. Until next time, get outside when you can. Make some memories. One cast at a time.